Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Asim, known as Afshan Khan. That's my name. I'm an Islamic counselor, a life coach, parenting advisor, a youth mentor, and I could go on, but I'll leave it at that. But I have, mashallah, 30 years of experience working in this field. Mental health is just as important as physical health. And what we don't realize is it has a big impact on our physical health. And see, when we have a problem with our teeth, we will run to the dentist, or we have a headache, we go to the doctors. But when it comes to mental health or any problems we're having within the marriage, it's like, no, let's just forget about it. Let's just cover it up. There's no problem at all. And then that problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And usually the end result is obviously divorce or separation. I think one of the main reasons I'm doing it is to break the stigma and to let people know how actually it helps people when they come for counselling. And alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, I would say in my time that I've been doing the counselling, when people come, usually 80% people, they do stay together because they resolve the issues. Obviously, sometimes people aren't meant to be together, and this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given divorce. Lack of communication between couples. A lot of it is background stuff people bring into the marriage, but most things I see in marriage are sometimes very small issues that made into very big issues because communication is not forthcoming. And we know men and women are different when it comes to their emotions, and because I hear this all the time, women like to talk and men don't. So there's usually this thing when people come to the marriage counselling is when they start to speak, they look at each other and it's like this is the first time they've heard this, and yet this problem they're having has been ongoing for many, many years. So they'll actually sit and listen, and it's very important. And then once they listen, they begin to understand. So we have to try everything first before we consider a divorce. Sadly, many people will jump to divorce, and they will then later on in life regret it. And I heard this from a lot of people when they've said, oh, I wish we'd come for marriage counselling, perhaps we could resolve our issue, because sometimes people work with anger and frustration and they feel the only point of call now is really to separate. But the best thing is to obviously talk about what's going on and to get advice from professionals who are there to help. The other thing I have to mention is a lot of times people do try to access help from people, religious people, from leaders of the community, and sisters sometimes say this to me, that they've told to have a sabr and patient, and this is a very good obviously advice, but sometimes problems have to be aired. And as marriage counselors, obviously from the experience that I have, there's things that really affect the marriage which may be deep rooted. And people who come and they just listen and they'll talk about their marriage issues of the here and now, they may not understand, not being a counsellor, but obviously when you're a counsellor, you see behind the lines, you read between the lines, and you understand that it's not this, it may be something like this. So it's good to have patience, but sometimes we have to be solution focused, and we have to try and get help, and we have to make sure that we access everything possible, and then we can get divorced. And I'll give you an example of couples, many couples who've come and they've come here and they said, this is it, we really want to separate, we don't really want to be together. And suddenly we start talking about some of the issues that they've had and what's happened in the past, maybe trust issues, and then we work on what's happened, and then I teach them communication techniques. We try to channel the anger that they have for each other. So there's many things you do, and then once you've done this and the couple may feel a little bit more happier, or they feel they're being listened to, their feelings are being validated, and slowly things begin to calm down, and then you work at the core root of the marriage, the core reasons why the marriage is failing. And usually this is, like I said, usually alhamdulillah, 80% of the problem. And once they've done this, then they go on and because I give homework, I give techniques, and this usually helps them. Recently I was working with a couple. 2 years of marriage usually are very difficult at the beginning because you're beginning to know one another, and they came and they were like very, very angry with one another. And then we looked at the reasons why they were really angry. It was mainly to do with things outside the marriage, for example, in-law family, extended family, and yet when I asked them at the end of the session how they felt about one another, they were truly, truly in love, and they really they said, oh, she means the world to me, and she said, I really love him. But outside factors had caused so much misunderstanding that they were ready just to obviously to leave each other. Once we looked at what's happening, I gave them some things. Even mashallah, they came for the third session. They came from really, really far, and alhamdulillah, they're very happy and they're using some of the techniques I gave them, and things are a lot better. People love reality, yes, and because we can somehow focus and relay this to our own personal lives, and so my insight to reality as such at grassroots levels, things I see every single day, I want to put it out there and let people know what the situation is, what the advice is, what I feel would help, because obviously you come up with a lot of solutions once you're in this field for a long time, and that's it all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And basically that's the main reason really, for people to understand and learn and hopefully take my advice on board.